Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. My name is Boom Gonzalez.
We give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Zihir Basho. In tonight's Game Plan, we'll break down the crucial matches in the PVL Invitational Conference as we approach the semifinals.
We'll also talk about what's at stake in tomorrow's PVL matchups. And we'll give the latest updates from the ongoing PBA Philippine Cup quarterfinals. Are the San Miguel Beermen and the TNT Tropang Giga still the finals favorites? Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. Hello and good evening. We're close to wrapping up the preliminary round of the 2022 PVL Invitational Conference, and more teams are boosting their chances of making it to the semis. Now, in yesterday's matches, PVL fans witnessed a showcase of grit and determination. The Choco Mucho Flying Titans never backed down against the hungry PLDT squad in a 5-set thriller. Kat Tolentino made sure her impact was felt in that first game back, emerging as the player of the game, dominating with 27 points. In the second matchup, Creamline survived Cherry Tigo in 4 sets. Gemma Galanza was the bright spot for the Cool Smashers, putting up 23 points of 21 attacks and 2 aces. Now let's talk more about the PVL action as we bring in Zihir Basho, my partner, as our analyst, and Alexis Tensai to share some of these beautiful courtside stories. Hello, Alexis. Can you fist bump? Can you fist bump? A Friday fist bump? Hello, guys. Okay, let me start off and get your analyst hat on, Z. That game yesterday, amazing. Obviously, a 5-set thriller, almost a come from behind by PLDT, almost pulling it off. But Kat Tolentino, she didn't want to lose. Talk about her impact.
That's right. I mean, if you say Choco Mucho, you really immediately think of Kat Tolentino as their #1 go-to girl. And she just proved them right. It's good to see her back on the court with her teammates. And we know, ang dami kasing nawala sa kanila. Big names, heavy pointers also. And Kat Tolentino delivering 27 points. In 5 sets. Talagang, hello guys, I'm back.
And it's the way she scored them also. I thought yung pinahinga siya ni Coach O at the end of that 4th set nung medyo talo na yung 4th set, di ba? They only scored 10 points. It was crucial for her to get a little bit of a rest so that pagdating nung set number 5, bumuga na ng gusto. And that's what she did. 5 of the last 8 points of Choco Mucho was from Kat Tolentino, but you got to talk to her. You're always personal with all of these players. What's the inside stuff on Kat Tolentino's comeback after missing, 3 games? Or 3 games,
yes,
right?
3 games, definitely. I actually wanted to share more on what happened when Kat wasn't there.
Okay.
I actually covered the game when Creamline swept Choco Mucho in 3 sets. And I got to talk to a gloomy Dina Wong. Can you imagine a gloomy Dina Wong? And a Regine Arocha who told me, hanggat sa may 6 na matitira, magpapakita kami sa court.
Right.
And these are for the players who are missing, who we miss.
Yes.
We're gonna fight for them. And then days later, Kat arrives with a shaky voice. She tells me, you know what the hardest part is, Ai? It's seeing them on TV and I can't do a thing. I was away, and now when I get to step back on court, it's gonna be the most redemptive feeling for me. And when I heard that, I was like, so is this about winning? Is it about winning this match against PLDT? And then she told me, it's not even about winning anymore. It's just really being about complete. And sa completion na lang yon, you saw how they fought through the 5 sets. It was a hard win, but it was, they truly deserved it.
The scenes at the end were so emotional. And that's what we love about covering volleyball. You know that very well.
Of course, Boom. Syempre, it's always a treat to the fans and to everybody watching to see a 5-setter hard-fought game.
All right. Other stories about the opponent naman. Pag-usapan natin, PLDT. I always say a match cannot be good without the other side.
Yes.
PLDT's fought hard in sets 3 and 4. And they weren't the crowd favorites in that the matchup. Let's talk about Chin Basas. I know you wanted to mention her.
Chin Basas is one of the underrated fan favorites. Pero when I asked her, she was like, you know what? One thing that we don't have, PLDT doesn't have, that Choco Mucho has, it's the fan factor. It's that whenever they serve, whenever they set, whenever they get a point, there's an uproar in the arena. Pero pagdating sa PLDT, they
Correct.
said, the only people who can cheer for us is ourselves. And it's really about being motivated in a way that you wouldn't even have to think about external factors. It was all about their eyes on the prize. And you can see it in the way they moved. It wasn't showy, it was simple, it was consistent. And they did it until set 5.
I guess you mentioned na kanina with Choco Mucho, Kat said it's about being complete. Hanggang may 6 lalaban. I think for PLDT naman, it's about gelling eh. Kasi we know that they're a new team. In the last conference, they didn't play as well as what they're showing now.
Right.
And I remember Chin Bases is like, wow, every time papalo siya, wow, saan galing yung power niya? As in, it comes through, and you know, she comes through for PLDT. And another person in PLDT na I'm so surprised and I'm so glad to see, parang back in her college days
Right.
again. And di lang yon, plus meron pang power ngayon is Mika Reyes.
And you know what? You were talking about her being back in college days.
Yes.
That's what she talked about with me. Sabi niya, as much as meron kaming straight wins, we really can't be that confident. And you think dapat oozing with confidence ang isang Mika Reyes, right?
Yes.
Well, with her established volleyball career. But she told me that the Flying Titans recently came out of their collegiate careers. So given that they are young guns, they expect them to be more creative. And yun yung sabi ni Mika Reyes na yun yung wala ako eh, yung pagka-creative nila, yung talagang fresh na fresh. And that is what I have to bring sa court. You know, back to college Mika. And right then and there, pinakita niya, sets 4 and 5, she was there.
And the whole conference, actually. That,
Yes,
you know, I
yes.
was chatting with her earlier and I said, we're just, as fans, happy to see her play with a lot of joy. And she
Yes.
seems like she's settling in with PLDT, as you mentioned, make chemistry. I was also chatting with Jules Samonte earlier, and I was just saying that her confidence, whole conference, has been so good.
Yes, and I really loved what Jules Samonte told me yesterday. It stuck to me. She said, you know what, team motto namin is trust the process. And it was more of maturity and patience that they prioritized for their game yesterday. And you would see translating in the game na yung step 1 nila is familiarity of the process. Step 2 is mastering the movement of your foe. And kita mo yon sa sets 3, 4, 5. Dun sila nag-ooze with confidence. Dun sila naging mas stable when it came to, you know, minimizing errors. And they said it's not really about winning right away. It's really win by win, we grow. So yung journey nila from PLDT last season to now, it's what they are proud of.
Yeah, like
And
you
that's right.
mentioned.
Speaking of growth, Jules Samonte also is such a joy to watch kasi parang nag-break out of her shell talaga siya. She left her mostly Ateneo squad, and then now she plays with Mika Reyes. And you know, even if she's one of the young guns here in PLDT, talagang parang she's settling her in her spot here in her new home.
Yeah, perfect way of saying it. Let's wrap up our conversation about PLDT, and what are your thoughts on them going forward?
Getting to know PLDT from the first season to the second season, from a shy, timid group trying to, you know, find their ways together in the court. I mostly think of them as a team that doesn't want to be iconic. They don't want to have that, you know, showy, legendary name in PVL. They just simply want to be remembered. And they want to be remembered as a team that works together consistently through all sets. They're gonna show na hindi sila titigil at lalaban sila.
And they have a great chance of making it to the next phase of the Invitational Conference, and that's all happening tomorrow, just like Choco Mucho, who stayed alive because of that win. Although there's a lot of complications in terms of them making the next phase, but the important thing is they are still in it. Ai, maraming salamat.
Thank
Alexis,
you very much.
Ai, good
Thank you
friend
so
of ours.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, after the break, we'll take a look at the remaining games before the semifinals of the Premier Volleyball League. Stay tuned. You're still watching The Game. Welcome back. You're still watching the game. The Premier Volleyball League has one final game day before the start of the semifinals. While some teams already secured their spot, 3 teams are still battling it out to see who books the final 2 slots. And to understand more about what's going on for the format, we are of course going to have Zier Vasho and to break it down per team. What I love about as we're going to see here for the PVL tomorrow, last day of the preliminary matches, and it still matters because, diba? And yes, maybe signal for them, okay na sila, and that's on the strength of how they started. The same with Creamline. They're safely into the semifinals, and because of what happened yesterday with Creamline, they are number 1, as you see on your screens. Now, let's talk about those 3 teams that are still in the running, and you already touched on PLDT, the power hitters. What an amazing conference for them as compared to last conference. Tell me some of the reasons why you think they're still in this fight. They actually had a 3-1 standing prior to the match yesterday. What has been successful for them?
I think the chemistry plays a huge factor. As we mentioned earlier, kasi nga, PLDT, nag-regroup yan this year. In the first conference earlier this year, parang nagkakapaan pa sila. They're trying to familiarize, nagkakaamuyan pa sila. So, now to see everybody working really well, parang well-oiled machine na tong mga to, it's good to see how consistent they can be. And to think that this is just their second conference. It's halfway through the year of being together. And we already see bright moments, bright spots. Leaders na you didn't expect in the beginning na nagsistep up for their team. It's just really exciting year for PLDT.
Kahit sino hugutin ni Coach George Pascua, not just yesterday, but even in other games, Elisoyo, diba? They were delivering for him in crucial moments. Of course, the backbone of their defense, Kat Arado, and then we mentioned Jin Basas and the success of PLDT. So they have a chance. They actually have a very good chance tomorrow. Again, it's a very complicated math equation. And tomorrow, we will find out per game how the chances are of each team. PLDT will be playing tomorrow. Let's talk about Army 2. Also, great resurgence here in the conference. And I'm sure babanggitin mo the Bionic Ilongga as a part of the success this conference.
That's right. And we already saw in the first conference how she was really a huge loss for Black Mamba Army. And
pati si Nene Bautista,
correct.
diba? Yung mga nag-beach volleyball.
Yes.
Yan.
And I was just gonna say, speaking of Jov and Ate Nene, parang yung time nila with the beach volleyball squad with the national team gave them that oomph that they would need to carry into their team in this conference. Talagang, I mean, you already know Jov Gonzaga will be their go-to, but parang she took it a notch higher this time around.
Yeah. She mentioned it herself that her advantage was, obviously, she knows everybody, but also the fact that she came in shape.
Yes.
She didn't have to get in shape. She probably is in the best shape of her life because of the SEA Games competition, of course, with Nene Bautista also. At alam naman natin, Army laging pumapalag kahit na anong mangyari. So they're always in it, and they're going to be in it tomorrow.
That's right. I was able to speak with John Bunag actually, and sinasabi nga niya, actually pati nga si Nene, parang okay kasi nga nakapagbuhangin.
Tama.
So even like their teammates also acknowledge the fact that it's a huge factor that they got that exposure in the national team. They got that training on the sand. Talagang it added a little boost. Plus pala, boom. Hindi lang to basta-basta Army kasi as we also saw, or we're seeing now, they have younger players as well in their team. We're usually used to seeing the veterans, diba? The Joan Bunags, the Nene Bautista. Now they have Jov and the other younger girls.
Right. Ba't mo nakausap si Joan Bunag? Hindi naman.
Alam nila.
For the next show. Choco Mucho, crowd favorite, obviously. I'm sure their fans are still happy that they're in it. Despite all the health issues, this conference, at some point, 6 players missing. Why are they still in it? What have they done so well still?
I was gonna say, sakto din sana yung dating ni Kat Tolentino in a very crucial match against PLDT,
Kahapon.
which they won in 5 sets.
Right.
That kept them going so far. But before that, I think they have the right pieces kasi although they're younger, as what we discussed earlier, they're fresh out of college, they have the right pieces. It's just like a little bit more time na mahinog pa sila sa laro and mahinog playing together.
Health has been an issue,
Yes.
but I call them now, not just the Choco Mucho Flying Titans, but the Choco Mucho Fighting Titans. I think that's what they proved.
Ooh, I like
Diba?
that better. That sounds better.
I think that's what they proved in this conference. Down 6 players. Unfortunately, of course, wala pa si Maddie. And then what happened to Dookie. But everybody's stepping in for each other.
Yes, and if we check out their history, palaban talaga tong mga players ito. We have Kat, we have Ben, we have Bea, who have fighting and championship matches under their belts. So you really are gonna see that kind of level of play from these girls.
For the Choco Mucho fans, they would hope that they sweep their match tomorrow and then hope that PLDT and Army lose in 3 sets. That would really be very good for them. But we'll find out what's the scenario after the triple header tomorrow for the PVL. Thanks as always, partner. After the break, we'll shift to the latest in the ongoing PBA Philippine Cup quarterfinals. Are the San Miguel Beermen and the TNT Tropang Giga still the final favorites? Stay tuned. Let's find out. You're watching the game. Welcome back to the game. It's official. The Ginebra-Meralco rivalry is still alive and well with their backs against the wall, and the Gin Kings pull off a thrilling Game 2 win earlier in the PBA Philippine Cup quarterfinals. Final score is 94-87 for the Barangay. Now it is Japet Aguilar with the high point man with 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 monster blocks. Joining us to give his key takeaways from this matchup is PBA analyst, our good friend, Idol Dylan Ababu. Kuya Dylan, magandang gabi.
Magandang gabi, Beermen Z. Thank you again for inviting me tonight.
Of course. 1-1 na. Yung Meralco Ginebra, I want to ask you about your thoughts about the game earlier today. Who you thought stepped up, and why are we going into the next game number 3?
Well, it was a neck-to-neck battle a while ago between Ginebra and Meralco nga. And of course, Ginebra...
Physical pa, no?
Very physical, you're right, Boom. At syempre, yung never say die spirit ng Ginebra, nakita natin na kanina. And actually, from the get-go, from the first quarter, talagang dikit yung laban hanggang matapos yung game.
Who do you starred in this game? Lalo na when you include yung performances ng game number 1. Kasi katulad nila LA, di ba, medyo masama yung linaro ng game number 1. Bumalik dito.
Yeah, obviously, Kuya LA, Japet, and Christian Hardinger, they didn't play well enough in game 1. Pero, itong ang game 2 nga talagang they really step up. At it was a collective effort. Kasi halos lahat, even Scottie Thompson, our reigning MVP, and Stanley Pringle, they had some crucial and game-winning plays in the end.
Alright.
That's right. And nabanggit nga natin na the rivalry is alive. This is the first time for Ginebra to win against Meralco. And
this conference,
yes,
right?
so speaking of Game 3, who do you think will have the edge? I'm not asking you kung sino mananalo, pero like for Ginebra, ano yung edge nila? For Meralco, ano yung edge nila?
Good question.
Actually, Z...
Mainit yung ilaw, ano?
I'm not asking who will win. So, ano yung strong points nila? Ganon.
Well, it's really anyone's ball game. Kasi like Meralco, they haven't really won a series against Ginebra. Of course, dating back in championships with Brownlee against Durham and Tony Bishop. And then Ginebra naman, of course, they want to repeat their All-Filipino crown. I think 2 All-Filipino Cups ago.
Okay. So, anong sagot? Parang inikot mo lang eh. Hindi, sige,
So
sige.
it's really hard.
Okay.
Very exciting.
Sige na, sige na. Alright, shifting from today's matchups, let's now look ahead to the 2 teams, as we said, who are already advanced to the semifinals, the San Miguel Beermen and the TNT Tropang Giga. Now, in your opinion, you said that SMB is still the team to beat. Am I correct? Did I hear that right? Tell us why.
Yeah, of course, the mighty San Miguel Beermen. Of course, still the team to beat. Kasi nga si Junmar, healthy. Saka I think he lost some pounds and he's back in his Kraken 6-time MVP form. So you need to really go against Junmar for your team in order for your team to win nga, di ba? The mighty San Miguel team na nga ito.
Si Denise Tan was with me here last night and she said something like, this is the best she's seen him since, you know, the passing away of the mother and the injury. Ganon din ba ang opinion mo?
Yeah, of course, Junmar had a lot of time. Actually, nagkaroon ng pandemic and of course, he had a lot of time for recuperation. And of course, siyempre yung time for himself, time to really study a lot and learn a lot. Nakita mo naman yung fruit. Kita mo naman yung performance si Junmar ngayong All-Filipino Cup.
Napapagod din pala maging 6-time MVP, no? But speaking of the top player in SMB, punta naman tayo sa top player ng TNT, Mikey Williams, #1 scorer in the league so far. What can you tell us about him and how crucial will he be in the upcoming matches?
Well, Mikey Williams, a spectacular guard, actually an amazing guard. Actually, he almost won the MVP last time. But talagang maraming gustong mapanood tong si Mikey Williams. Pero yun nga, if ever TNT and San Miguel na maglaban, rematch din to nung semifinals nung championship ng TNT no All-Filipino Cup last time. So, I think he really needs to be consistent and be the Mikey Williams that he is.
Now, as we speak, before we went on air, it was 67-44 for NLEX over Magnolia so far. So they're leading big. Who do you think has a better chance against Mikey Williams and the rest of TNT? Is NLEX going to be a better matchup? Is Magnolia? And by the way, if Magnolia wins today, advanced na sila. No? So what do you think if this goes down the wire?
Actually, Magnolia is a better matchup for TNT.
Okay.
Considering the guard setup of both teams. They have very dynamic guards, of course. Medyo matchup yung guards ng Token Tech saka Magnolia FC. So, like nga yung Meralco and Ginebra, exciting games. Hindi natin alam yung result, pero mas maganda yung Magnolia TNT series.
So, habang parang everybody's looking forward to a Game 3 in both games eh. Kaya lamang na lamang.
Parang gano'n ang mangyayari eh. NLEX is ahead, and then may Game 3 tayo with Meralco and Ginebra. lahat masaya.
Lahat
you know?
masaya
If it's,
sa volleyball at sa basketball. And thank you.
Masaya kami dahil
Yes,
nandito.
nandito si Kuya Dylan. Thank
Dylan,
you,
very
Kuya
much.
Dylan, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's it for tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm Zihir Basho.
Catch us weeknights here on One News, One Sports, and One Sports Plus. Happy weekend. I'm Boom Gonzalez, and this has been The Game.